A lot of the challenges feed off each other.
We don't get tax breaks. We've just gotten more taxes.
When there are jobs, crime low. When there are no jobs, crime high.
We're still hanging in. We're hoping for something's going to turn around.
The city was really underserved by real estate companies that focused on the city of Detroit. I lived in the city as a kid, and a lot of what I'm interested in, urban planning, architecture, grew from being exposed to the city of Detroit. When I graduated, I wanted to be part of the change within my hometown. Initially, I started an organization that promoted living in the city as a nonprofit organization. So we held housing fairs, we did bus tours, we published a magazine, and that was a natural transition into ultimately selling real estate in the city. In certain neighborhoods, you're still looking at $100, $1,000 houses. So people have issues with the crime, and it's getting better over time, but it's fighting against the perception of the city. My job, I think, is more about education than even the actual selling of real estate. I look at myself, I tour my clients through neighborhoods first and get them comfortable with the potential neighborhood or community they may live in within the city. And then we focus on the real estate after they feel comfortable with that particular neighborhood. A lot of the challenges feed off each other. First you had the people fleeing the city, then you had the city, in order to make up for that loss, they increased the taxes, and then more people left. And then you eventually had too many people leaving that the businesses followed the people. And so then you had the unemployment issue because people don't have access to jobs near where they live. And then you have the education system crumbles because the population has declined. So really, those challenges feed off each other. But now moving forward, we have a repopulation of some of the neighborhoods, and we can see now businesses are starting to come back to these neighborhoods. It's not citywide yet, but when I see people moving from the most affluent suburban communities into the city, that tells me something. You know, the first couple years post-bankruptcy is gonna be all about restructuring. Behind us, you have places like Chicago with high legacy costs, high debt load. So what happens in Detroit may be the template for what happens in other cities. Initially, I didn't know what to expect from being the largest city to ever file for municipal bankruptcy and how it would impact the real estate values or demand to live in the city. In a year through that process of this consent agreement, emergency management, now bankruptcy, I can say I have seen no impact on business. I think a lot of people see bankruptcy as a tool to clean up a lot of the legacy costs, clean up the debt that the city has. In terms of what we need to work on would be the tax structure within the city. Right now, it can be very expensive to live in the city versus the suburbs. We have to get to the point where financially they're on par. The more city government gets cleaned up and gets better organized, that's gonna naturally help my business because it changes the perception people have of the city through city government. It's a slow process, but the more that happens, the revitalization process accelerates. It's gonna get faster and faster. And so instead of seeing pocket neighborhoods being revitalized through the city, we're looking at larger areas being revitalized in the city.